Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Monday, and all of our guests today, including Johan Hedberg, standing by, sponsored by Basant Motors. Basant Motors is celebrating their 32nd birthday with their anniversary sale. Choose one of 5 gifts with any vehicle purchase, including no GST. Get all the details at basantmotors.com. Johan Hedberg, head coach Orebro HK of the Swedish Hockey League, Sweden's top tier, Rick, as
Number
you know.
one, yep.
Johan played 11 NHL seasons. He played 03-04 in Vancouver. We're getting him on the show because the Orebro roster includes 2 Vancouver Canuck draft picks from 2022, yep. Jonathan Lekkerimaki and defenseman Elias Pettersson. Johan, thanks so much for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
Your team's 4-0. I think I've got that right. Are you an early candidate for Swedish League Coach of the Year?
You wish, right? It's very early. We got a good start. There's no doubt about that. But it's the old cliche. It's a long season.
What can you tell us about Jonathan Lekkerimaki and the way he's playing? Johan, 3 goals in 4 games.
Yeah, he's been great. You know what? And I think what everybody talks about Jonathan is his shot, but his playmaking skills are elite too, and it's much more structured than I thought he would be. He's actually pretty sound defensively, and he's taking good responsibility out there.
You mentioned the shot. What other things does he do well, and what does he have to work on?
Well, start with the stuff he needs to do better or work on. It's obviously going to be his strength to be bigger and stronger and be able to compete against the bigger guys. He had a tough last year, missing a lot of time with illness and injuries and stuff like that, and a lot of travel back and forth, draft, development camps, and so forth. So he had a really good summer, and you can really see they put on some muscles. So that's the main thing for him. Otherwise, his talent set is good enough to be a top player in the league eventually. He's not there yet, obviously, but he will be.
Yeah, you played in the National Hockey League. Do you look at him and say, there's a kid with NHL potential?
Yes, big time. You know, his smartness on the ice, I talked about his structure defensively without the puck is good, much better than I thought. But I really like the way he escapes out of situations, how he can use his quickness and his mobility to get out of trouble and create some room for himself and get his shot open. He's been really good in tight spaces, and it's actually been pretty physical too. He can get angry, little guy, so that's good.
Hey, Johan, you got a player that had a rough year last year. He struggled. There was injuries, illness. So when you got him, talk a little bit about what you had to do. You obviously doing a great job. His confidence is high, but last year it wasn't, Johan. Talk a little bit about the talks you had with him over the summer.
Well, I think for him it was more everything that went on with the draft and travels and sickness and World Juniors. It was a busy season. He came along really, really well in the playoffs for Djurgården, and he was a big factor for them, almost making it back to the Elite League. So that's kind of what we based it on when we get a chance to bring him here, what we saw in the playoffs. And but he had a rough start. But he's very committed to do all the stuff we ask him to do, and especially stuff in the gym, working on his fitness, and become stronger, more suited for the senior game than it was before.
Johan, I think you're going to be on the phone with Patrick Alvin quite a bit this year. You got another Canucks draft picked as well, Elias Pettersson, the defenseman. How's he doing?
Well, he's been doing well. You know, he went over for development camp this summer, and I think he stood out there. Like he's got a big frame. He's a super strong and fit guy. He hasn't played that much in the season so far. We only in 4 games. He got a couple of shifts in last game, but he's going to come along. So his physical part is there. He just needs to kind of get to play games, get used to it, and get into the flow of the game. But he's got a lot of good tools, that kid.
Johan, Swedish hockey every year just pumps out great players. We got one of the best in the NHL in Elias Pettersson, the forward. What is Swedish hockey doing right, Johan?
Well, what is it they do right? I think there's a lot of good coaches, and I think it's a lot of sharing going on. I think the Swedish Federation really has put the foot down maybe like 15 years ago and put a new system together, how to work with the coaches, how to teach them, and stuff like that. So I think that's the biggest part to Sweden producing players. But also hockey is a really, really big sport in Sweden. So you get a lot of top talents playing the sport instead of going to other sports. A lot of guys stay in hockey. So that's obviously helped. But I think the Federation has done a good job with educating the coaches.
What do you like about coaching, Johan? You've been at it for a while now.
It's fun. It's the second best thing to playing. You get to stay in the game, the excitement of the games, but it's been more fun than I ever thought it would be to coach. Obviously, I was in San Jose there for 4.5 years as a goalie coach and assistant coach. It's a different thing being the head guy, but it's something I really enjoy.
I forgot about this, but the one season you played in Vancouver was 03-04. What a season. There was the Bertuzzi Moore incident. There was the Chris Levesque situation when you got hurt and everybody thought the kid from UBC was going to play. What are your memories of that season with the Canucks under Mark Crawford?
It was like you said, it was a season where a lot of things happened. I got to say, though, I had a rough year myself playing-wise. A lot of injuries going on and stuff going on, obviously, around the team. And I also started working with Ian Clark, which probably he changed my game around a little bit, but also gave me another 10 years to stay in the league. If I didn't do that, I probably would have been out much earlier. So he changed some stuff around for me that kind of hurt me in the short run, but I think it helped me in the long run. So I had a great time. The team we had with Marcus and the Sedins, Arvidsson, Mats Lindgren, Åland, Trevor Lind, and all these guys, it was awesome team to be around. I had a blast. So unfortunately, we ended up losing that to Calgary in the playoffs, but it was a good experience.
Yeah, a lot of people felt that team should have done a whole lot better. One more, Johan, if you don't mind. I read some articles about you talking about this. Your time in Atlanta with the Thrashers. You spent 4 years there. I got the feeling that you liked it there. What goes through your mind when you hear, and this talk's going around right now, what goes through your mind when you hear that the NHL is thinking about going back to Atlanta for a third time?
Third time's a charm, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I think Atlanta would be a great place for NHL hockey. I think if the ownership had been on speaking terms when I was there and done stuff together, that would really have worked. It's a great arena. There's a lot of people living there, and it's a good sports city. And I think they need to put some more rinks out there for the grassroots and get kids playing, get kind of hockey growing that way. I think that was a problem. I don't think they put enough rinks in the area. But for sure, I think Atlanta has all the potential to be a really good NHL city.
This has been great. We'll contact you again soon for another Lekkerimaki Pettersson update, if you don't mind, Johan. Continued success, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Johan.